Hi, I'm your host, Kevin Myers, and welcome to the first episode of Conversation, where we have conversations with different students in the Dominion High School community about different projects they're working on just in the Dominion High School community. And our first guest here on Conversation has been a hip-hop dancer and a member of Dominion's track and field team. He is currently a fiction writer and DHS Press reporter. Hopefully he doesn't combine the two. But today he's here to talk about his new podcast, Rationale, where he but please welcome Tyler Whitfield to the program. First, we are going to play a short clip from his new podcast.
To the point where when you do communicate with someone, they need to actually listen and actually comprehend what you're saying and fully understand that they're not just talking to you, but they are asking you something. They're asking you to become not better, but to change something about you that truly hurts them. And it's not meant to be taken personally. It's not meant that they're saying, no, you're a bad person, this is an awful trait you have. It's them saying, hey, when you do this, this truly hits me. This truly does not sit right with me. And I would greatly appreciate if you could just consider.
Okay.
Hi, Kevin, you broke up there a bit. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, how are you doing today is all I asked.
I'm doing pretty well. How are you doing?
Not too bad. So I guess we'll just get right into it. So first, what is this podcast? I guess just what is this podcast? What is it about and who's it for?
Well, more than anything, I'd say it's really just for myself. It was really just a way for me to vent, and then I kind of decided that I wanted to put it on a regular schedule, just kind of for my mental health. But I also do want to try to spread, I don't know, some sort of acknowledgement or some sort of reason into some people's lives when they might be feeling there's a lack of reason or lack of logic.
Yeah, definitely. So what inspires you? Where do you get the topics, your ideas for topics from for each episode? And how do you know if a topic will make a good episode?
Well, truthfully, I don't ever know when a topic's going to make a good episode because really it's all in the delivery. It's all about how you talk about it. But the things that I primarily stick to are issues that I deal with in my life. So I've done people basically avoiding blame, and I have talked about communication, and those are both things that I've seen very recently in my life. So it was kind of something that I was reaching my wit's end at, and it was something I just kind of wanted to vent about, but I didn't have any platform to do it.
So, correct me if I'm wrong here, but we were talking the last time we tried to record this. You mentioned something about sort of being inspired by a rough patch in your life earlier in this year. That was sort of the impetus for creating this podcast. Are the topics now, are those sort of more like retrospect, looking back on that part of your life, or are they inspired by things happening right now?
I'd say it's a bit of both because yes, it does come from looking back and looking at what I could have done differently to avoid a rough patch in my life. But it's also a bit of what's going on now because things since the rough patch have only changed so much. So it's still a bit of going on right now. So I guess I'd say half and half.
And I guess more sort of on, I guess, the format. Right now, your podcasts are pretty short, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. They're around like 3 to 5 minutes in length, I feel like. Do you have any plans to make them longer or even mix it up a bit by bringing on a guest or something like that?
Well, I do think I'm going to try to make the podcast episodes longer, just because I think I'm going to try to get my production up, so try and add some stuff that'll make the episodes longer. And I guess I'm not quite sure on yet. I, at the moment, just kind of want to keep this myself. I want this to be my content. I want people to watch for my content, not for bringing on some other guests.
Right. Sort of trying to find your own voice by, just more of like a monologue right now, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
So right now you're on SoundCloud. Is that the only platform you're on at the moment?
At the moment, yeah, I'm hoping to try to establish a few viewers consistently on SoundCloud, and then I'll probably shift to YouTube or Spotify or I don't know what other platforms, but then I'll try to just expand.
Right. So our, during our previous conversation, you mentioned something. I guess you mentioned something about YouTube's algorithm specifically. So what exactly about it made you think that SoundCloud would be the best place to start with this podcast and then expand outward to other platforms later? Like why SoundCloud?
Just find that SoundCloud is very easy to use. It was super easy to set up for me and then to post my content. And I've had some more difficult experiences with other platforms in the past. So more than anything, it was just me wanting to get this up as easily as possible.
Interesting. And then, so right now, how often are you trying to put out episodes to your listeners?
I try to put out every Monday, but I've kind of been slacking the past couple weeks.
Just because of the holidays?
Exactly. And just stress, school, sports, all that.
Yeah. And then how long do you plan to keep doing this? Is there something? Do you even have that? Like, do you even have it planned out that far? I guess.
I mean, really, everything's come to tell. I don't have any plans right now because I've only put out 2 episodes. It's all up in the air. If I can get people that watch my content and like my content, then I'll most definitely keep it up. And if I don't get any viewers, then it might just be something I keep to myself in the future.
Interesting. So you would consider potentially, if you don't get much traction, almost going private?
In a sense, yeah, I could still post every once in a while, but frankly, it's something that I want to do for my mental health as well as anyone else who might be having mental health issues. And
Right.
if I'm only getting the first part, then I just don't really see a huge point in
Yeah.
putting myself on a scheduled date and stressing myself out over that.
Definitely. And I know that we are both DHS Press reporters. Do you have any interest in either integrating this with DHS Press to reach a broader audience potentially, or launching other podcasts personally or for DHS Press?
Well, like I was saying in the beginning of the interview when I was talking about guests, I do think I just want to keep this to myself. I don't want to put a company tag on it because then it's not mine, it's DHS Press's.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think it's just going to be something that I keep on my personal channel. And for DHS Press content, that's still all kind of up in the air too. I'm doing a podcast Second Council right now, but that's my only one at the moment. So I don't know. I might put a few more in there, but sticking with what I have for now.
Yeah, and then also, of course, integrating with DHS Press would subject the podcast to editorial scrutiny, basically, as well.
The censorship and all is something I do want to avoid.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's pretty much all the questions I have for now. Unfortunately, since we couldn't get this working live yesterday, we had planned to do a Q&A with people in the chat. Hopefully, we'll be able to have you on some other time in the relatively near future, and hopefully we can do a Q&A then. But for now, thank you so much for joining us, Tyler, on the first episode of Conversation, and for
Thanks for having me.
and also for putting up with our technical hiccups yesterday.
No problem, Kevin.
And to everyone in the audience, please, thank you for watching. If you watched the live stream yesterday, really appreciate it, despite all the issues we had, including not being able to hear Tyler at all, which we didn't know about until we watched it back later. Oops. But for now, please comment below, like, dislike, even a dislike. Interestingly enough, actually helps with, it provides greater engagement for the video. It could actually boost viewership, which is a weird thing, but it is a thing. So please engage with our video, comment, like, dislike. And reach out to us as well. We'll have our email linked in the comments if you have anyone you would like to see featured on Conversation. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next Sunday at 8 p.m. right here on Fountain Pictures.